My friend Derek and I rent a house together. He's a pretty big partier and often stays out really late or even sleeps over at other places, so a lot of nights I have to myself. This was one of those nights where Derek was out at the club or something, enjoying his usual late-night escapades. Having the night alone, I decided to make the most of it. I brought out a couple of cans of beer to our front porch and settled on the swinging bench we had set up. The weather was nice, with a gentle breeze that made the evening air comfortable. It was nearly midnight, and the neighborhood was eerily quiet, with most people already asleep. The tranquility of the night was both soothing and a bit unsettling. After being out on the porch for a little less than an hour, I noticed a person walking down the street in front of the houses. He was a large guy, wearing a sweatshirt with the hood pulled up over his head. There was something distinctly off about the way he was walking. His movements were very stiff, as if only his legs were moving while his entire upper half remained unnaturally still. The sight sent a shiver down my spine, making me feel uneasy. The man's mechanical movements in the otherwise silent night created an atmosphere of dread that slowly enveloped me. When he reached the part of the road directly in front of my house, he stopped and looked over at me. I waited a few seconds, expecting him to say something, but he remained silent. He just stood there in the middle of the road, right in front of my house, staring at me. The prolonged eye contact was unnerving, making the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I decided to break the silence. "Hey buddy, you need something?" I called out, trying to keep my voice steady. He stayed quiet for a moment, the silence hanging heavily between us. Then, without a word, he started walking up my driveway. I stood up from the bench, my heart racing, and yelled at him to leave. The closer he got, the more I realized something was very wrong. Panic set in, and I hurried inside, locking the door behind me. I watched out the peephole as the guy came right up to the door. He waited for another second, his presence looming, before pulling something out from under his sweatshirt. It was hard to see from the small view I had, but it looked like maybe a hammer or a crowbar, something that could easily be used as a weapon. Once I saw that, I knew what was likely about to happen. Fear coursed through me as I ran upstairs and locked myself in the bedroom. My hands trembled as I dialed 911, trying to keep my voice low and my breathing steady. I could hear the wood splintering off the door downstairs as the guy tried to force his way in. The sound of destruction filled the house as I pleaded with the operator for help. Then there was a loud thud and an eerie silence followed. The broken door swaying on its hinges was the only sound that remained, a chilling reminder of the imminent danger. I waited anxiously, my heart pounding in my chest, only assuming that I'd hear the guy's footsteps approaching the bedroom door at any second. Every creak of the house made me jump, the silence amplifying my fear. Seconds turned to agonizing minutes until I finally heard a cop car pull into my driveway. I thought about running down to the offices, but the operator suddenly told me through the phone to stay where I was and wait for the cops to get to me. Reluctantly, I sat back down, trying to calm myself while the tension in the air grew thicker. 30 seconds later, I heard one of the officers walking up the stairs, their footsteps a mix of salvation and terror. The officers shouted, their voices commanding and firm, followed by the sound of a taser firing. I later learned that the guy had been standing right outside the bedroom door as if he was just waiting for me to open it. He was arrested, and it turned out he was very drunk. Despite this, I have no clue who he was or why he did what he did. As far as the officers have told me, the guy wouldn't even say why he was walking down the road or what he was even doing there. All I know is that if I had opened that door, it would have been the last thing I ever did. The thought of what could have happened still haunts me, making it difficult to feel safe in my own home.